the feeling attached to it. If the emotional experience feels wrong, the answer becomes no. If it feels right, the answer happens naturally. And the method you are about to learn makes it feel right. Now, let's go deeper. The foundation is understanding how women decide. Almost every man who gets rejected for intimacy usually makes one of these mistakes. He asks too directly, he asks too early, he asks with nervous energy, or he asks without building emotional tension first. And here is the secret. Women don't decide intimacy logically. They decide emotionally. The moment she feels safe, understood, desired, but not pressured, and emotionally aligned, the door opens. So today I'm going to show you the dark psychology way to ask for intimacy without ever sounding needy, without making her uncomfortable, and without risking that cold rejection. But before we get into the techniques, I need to explain something critical about female psychology that most men completely miss. Women experience desire differently than men. For most men, attraction is visual and instant. You see someone attractive and your body responds right away. But for women, attraction is layered. It builds. It stacks through context, emotion, safety, and anticipation. This is why a woman can meet a man, feel nothing, and then 3 weeks later find herself strongly drawn to him. It's not that she was playing games, it's that her attraction needed time to grow through emotional experiences. Understanding this changes everything about how you approach intimacy. Because if you know her desire grows through emotional layering, you stop rushing, you stop pushing, you start creating the conditions where her desire naturally increases. Let's start with the most powerful principle. The first trick is this: you never ask directly. Let me repeat that because this alone can change everything for you. You never ask a woman for intimacy directly. Women don't respond well to direct proposals. They respond to emotional invitation. And there is a huge difference. Asking directly creates pressure. Pressure creates resistance. Resistance turns into rejection, but when you invite emotionally in a subtle way, you change the entire dynamic. She doesn't feel like you are forcing anything, it feels natural. She feels like she is choosing it. And when a woman feels like the decision is hers, she rarely rejects it. Now let me show you how you actually do this. Think about the last time someone tried to sell you something aggressively. The moment you felt pressured, what happened? You pulled back, right? Even if you were interested before, the pressure killed it. The same principle applies to intimacy. When a man asks directly, "Do you want to come back to my place?" or "Should we take this further?" he creates a transaction. He forces her to weigh the decision consciously, and the conscious mind is where doubt lives. But when you create an emotional invitation, you speak to her subconscious. You create a feeling, not a question. And feelings don't get rejected the same way questions do. Here's the psychology of emotional invitation. You give her space to walk into intimacy emotionally. How do you do that? Simple. You create an environment where she feels safe with you, connected to you, and curious about you. Women say yes to intimacy when 3 emotional switches turn on. 1, safety. 2, trust. 3, anticipation. If even one of these is missing, she holds back. But here's the good part. You don't need to beg for these. You create them. And the next thing I'm about to tell you activates all 3. Listen closely. Let me break down each of these switches because understanding them will change how you move through every interaction. Safety does not mean she needs to know you for years. Safety means she feels like you are not going to judge her, pressure her, or make her feel like she made a mistake. Safety is created through your emotional stability. When you are calm, grounded, and not reactive, she feels safe. Trust builds when your words match your actions. When you say you are not trying to rush anything, and then you actually don't rush anything. When you respect her boundaries without making her feel guilty for having them. Trust is the foundation that allows vulnerability. Anticipation is the chemical magic. It is the buildup of tension that makes intimacy feel electric instead of mechanical. Anticipation is created through restraint, through suggestion, through the space between what is and what could be. Now, here is where it gets interesting. Most men focus entirely on creating attraction and completely ignore these three switches. They try to be impressive, funny, confident, all good things, but they forget that a woman needs to feel safe, trusting, and anticipating before any of that attraction converts into intimacy. The second trick is the soft withdrawal effect. This is one of the smoothest dark psychology methods ever. Here's how it works. Instead of leaning in toward intimacy, you gently lean out. Not in a rude way, not in a cold way, just in a way that shows you are comfortable with connection but not demanding it. This does two things. One, it removes pressure instantly. Two, it creates emotional space where she starts leaning in. Women feel safe with the man who does not rush intimacy, not because he doesn't want it, but because he respects energy. When she feels you are not trying to take something, she starts moving toward you on her own. And that is exactly when rejection disappears, because now it becomes her idea. Let me give you a clear example of how this looks in real time. You are sitting close to a woman. There is chemistry. The conversation is flowing. Most men at this point would escalate physically, move closer, touch more, try to kiss her. But what happens? She often pulls back slightly, not because she is not interested, but because the escalation felt like pressure. Now imagine this instead. You are in that same moment, and instead of leaning in, you lean back slightly. You pause. You look away for a second. You create just a small amount of space. What happens in her mind? Suddenly, the pressure is gone, and in that absence of pressure, she becomes aware of her own desire. She thinks, wait, why did he pull back? Does he not want this? And without even noticing, she starts leaning in. She initiates the touch. She closes the distance. This is the soft withdrawal effect in action. You are not rejecting her. You are not playing games. You are simply showing that you are comfortable with the natural flow of energy, and that comfort makes her feel safe enough to pursue. Now, the next trick is the one that builds anticipation, which is one of the strongest desired triggers in female psychology. The third trick is the implanted thought shift. This is subtle, psychological, and extremely effective. You don't ask for intimacy. You simply give her a thought that naturally leads her toward the idea. How? You use soft, emotionally suggestive statements like, I really like the way our energy feels together. Or, you're surprisingly easy to be close to. Or, you have this calmness that makes everything feel natural. None of these ask for anything. None of these push. But all of them plant a seed. Women respond to feelings, not instructions. When she feels something around you, intimacy becomes her curiosity, not your request. And that difference is everything. Here is what is happening psychologically when you use these statements. You are helping her become aware of feelings she is already experiencing but has not fully put into words yet. When you say, I really like the way our energy feels together, you are not introducing a new idea. You are naming something she has been sensing. And when you name her own feelings back to her, she thinks, yes, that's exactly what I feel too. This creates alignment, and alignment is magnetic. There is also a principle in psychology called priming. When you introduce certain words or concepts into a conversation, they become more active in the other person's mind. So when you casually mention energy, closeness, connection, natural, those words start shaping how she interprets the moment. She is not being manipulated. She is being guided into awareness of what is already present between you. And here's the part most men don't understand. A woman's desire often needs permission, not pressure. She needs to feel like she is allowed to want you, allowed to feel something, allowed to move toward intimacy without feeling judged. When you speak in this emotionally suggestive way, you create that permission. Now let's go even deeper, because this is where most men destroy everything without realizing it. The fourth trick is emotional pacing. This is one of the most powerful things you can do with a woman, and almost no man does it correctly. Emotional pacing means you match her emotional speed instead of trying to force your own. If she is relaxed and playful, you stay relaxed and playful. If she is quiet and soft, you become quieter and softer. If she is slowly warming up, you don't jump 10 steps ahead, you move with her. Why does this matter? Because women are extremely sensitive to emotional mismatch. When a man is moving too fast emotionally, she feels it instantly. And that feeling creates tension in the wrong way. A woman wants tension, yes, but she wants romantic tension, not anxiety tension. Romantic tension feels like anticipation. Anxiety tension feels like pressure. And emotional pacing is how you create the first and avoid the second. Here's a simple example. If she is sitting close to you, but still keeping a little space, don't rush to close it. Instead, match her. Stay close, but not too close. Let her be the one who gradually reduces the distance. Let her feel in control. Control is not about power, control is about safety. When she feels like she can stop at any moment, she relaxes. And when she relaxes, desire grows. Now let's talk about the fifth trick, because this one is where the dark psychology part becomes very real. The fifth trick is certainty without urgency. Most men are either uncertain or they are urgent, and both of these destroy attraction. When a man is uncertain, he asks in a weak way. He hesitates. He over-explains. He tries to get reassurance, and that makes her feel like she has to manage his emotions. When a man is urgent, he pushes. He escalates too fast. He tries to get the result, and that makes her feel like she is being rushed into something. But certainty without urgency is different. It is calm. It is grounded. It is confident. It is the energy of, I want you, but I don't need you. And women respond deeply to that energy. Here is what certainty without urgency sounds like. It is not, do you want to come over? It is not, please, can we do this? It is not, are you sure you like me? It is something like, I like being close to you. Then you pause. You let it land. You don't chase her reaction. You don't rush to fill the silence. Silence is powerful. Silence is where her emotions rise. Most men talk too much because they are afraid of silence, but silence is where attraction builds. Now let's go into the sixth trick. This one is extremely simple, but it works because it uses the way the female mind processes intimacy. The sixth trick is making intimacy feel like a shared experience, not a goal. The moment intimacy becomes a goal, she feels it. She feels like you are trying to get something. She feels like you are trying to take something. But when intimacy feels like a shared experience, it becomes something you are both stepping into together. This is why the most powerful approach is not, can we do this? It is, this feels really good with you. When you frame intimacy as a feeling you are sharing, she feels included. She feels respected. She feels safe. Now, here is where a lot of men get confused. They think the goal is to convince her. It's not. The goal is to create an emotional environment where she convinces herself. Because when a woman decides on her own, she becomes emotionally invested. An emotional investment is what makes intimacy deeper. Now let's talk about the seventh trick, and this is one of the strongest ones of all. The seventh trick is controlled vulnerability. Most men think vulnerability means being emotional, opening up, telling her everything, or talking about your pain. That is not what I mean. Controlled vulnerability means you reveal something small, real, and human without dumping emotions on her. It could be something as simple as, I don't connect with people easily, but with you, it feels simple. That one sentence does so much psychologically. It signals depth. It signals sincerity. It signals that she is not just another woman to you. And women respond to that because women don't want to feel like they are part of a pattern. They want to feel like they are part of something meaningful. Now, here is the key. You don't say it like you are begging. You don't say it like you are trying to win her. You say it like it's simply true. That calm truth is what makes it powerful. Now let's move into the eighth trick, because this is where you stop needing to ask at all. The eighth trick is giving her an easy exit. This sounds backwards, but it is one of the most effective ways to remove rejection. Most men fear giving her an exit because they think she will take it. But here is the truth. When you give a woman an easy exit, she feels safe enough to stay. If she feels trapped, she pulls away. If she feels free, she leans in. So what does this look like? It sounds like we don't have to rush anything, or we can just enjoy the moment, or only if it feels right for you. These phrases do not kill attraction. They increase it because they remove pressure. And when pressure is gone, desire rises. Now here is where the real magic happens. When you combine all of these tricks together, something changes. You stop being the man who asks. You become the man who creates a moment. And women don't reject moments. They reject pressure. Let me say that again, because it's important. Women don't reject moments. They reject pressure. A moment is emotional. A moment is safe. A moment is natural. A moment is something she can step into. Pressure is mental. Pressure is forced. Pressure is something she has to fight against. Now, I want to give you a simple sequence that ties everything together so you can see how this works in real life. You meet her, you build connection, you don't rush, you create safety by being calm, you build trust by being consistent, you create anticipation by holding back slightly. You use emotional invitation instead of direct asking. You use the soft withdrawal effect to remove pressure and let her lean in. You use implanted thought statements to guide her awareness. You pace her emotionally. You show certainty without urgency. You frame intimacy as a shared experience, not a goal. You use controlled vulnerability. And you always give her an easy exit. Now here is what happens. Instead of her feeling like she is being pushed into intimacy, she feels like intimacy is happening naturally. She feels like she is choosing it. And when a woman feels like she is choosing intimacy, she becomes more open, more relaxed, and more emotionally connected. Now, let's talk about the biggest mistake men make that destroys all of this. The biggest mistake is over-explaining. A man finally builds chemistry, finally builds tension, and then he starts talking too much. He starts explaining why he likes her, why he wants her, why he is different, why she should trust him. And the moment you do that, you turn an emotional moment into a logical conversation, and logic kills desire.